history often casts long shadows, obscuring the nuanced lives that flicker within its grand narrative. Hedwig Potast, dismissed as a mere historical footnote, a passing fancy in the orbit of Heinrich Himmler, deserves a far more discerning eye. To label her insignificant would be a profound injustice. She was, in truth, a confidant, a trusted ear to whom the architect of unspeakable acts bared his soul. Fears, anxieties, and meticulously crafted plans were laid bare in the intimacy of their clandestine world. Imagine, if you will, the hushed tones exchanged in darkened rooms, secrets unveiled under the cloak of night. This was Potast's domain. More than a mistress, she was, for all intents and purposes, Himmler's unofficial wife. Though bound by law to another, his true companion resided in the shadows, privy to the inner machinations of a mind that shaped the very fabric of a monstrous regime. His lawful wife remained, a figurehead, while Potast navigated the treacherous currents of power and affection. Archival whispers hint at a post-war drama orchestrated by US intelligence. Upon capturing Potast in 1945, they allegedly gleaned invaluable insights into Himmler's labyrinthine activities, yet, paradoxically, they shielded her from the prying eyes of historians and journalists for decades, an almost paternalistic protection that only deepened the mystery. The single exception to this imposed silence, a rare interview granted in the twilight of her life in the early 1980s, offered a tantalizing glimpse into this hidden history. She claimed to have been a catalyst, a driving force behind Himmler's clandestine negotiations with the Western Allies, a desperate attempt to broker peace from 1943 onwards. Even more audacious was her assertion that, from the autumn of 1944, she actively sought to turn Himmler against his leader, driven by a primal desire for survival, for the sake of her children, born of their illicit union. Is it possible that history has, in its sweeping pronouncements, relegated a pivotal figure to the sidelines? Did the corridors of power echo with her influence, a silent force shaping the final, desperate acts of a collapsing empire? The actions of the intelligence services, their unwavering protection, certainly suggest a deeper, more significant role than mere mistress. Himmler's legitimate wife, Margarita Baldin, 7 years his senior and a nurse by profession, entered his life in 1928. Their union produced one daughter Gudrun, born in 1929, and they fostered a son, Gerhard von Ahlefeld, orphaned by the war. However, the ascent of the political party dramatically altered the family dynamic. Himmler, consumed by his duties as a high-ranking official, became a distant figure, his presence a fleeting shadow in the family home. The chasm between husband and wife widened, strained by ambition and the ever-present demands of power. Hedwig Potast, 12 years younger than Himmler, emerged from a middle-class background, armed with a sharp intellect and a degree from the esteemed Economic Institute for Interpreters in Mannheim. In 1935, she found employment in the press section of the secret police in Berlin, where her command of the English language became her most valuable asset. Seeking to leverage her skills, she requested a transfer, a seemingly innocuous decision that would irrevocably alter the course of her life. In January 1936, Potast secured the coveted position of private secretary to Himmler, a role that placed her at the very epicenter of power. Her responsibilities extended beyond mere administration. She oversaw Himmler's private office, managing the flow of correspondence and the endless stream of gifts bestowed upon the powerful official. Within the confines of this inner sanctum, an undeniable connection sparked between Himmler and Potast, a forbidden flame that threatened to consume them both. Duty collided with desire, loyalty with longing, as their fates became inextricably intertwined. Yet, Himmler, ever conscious of appearances and the potential repercussions, hesitated to inflict further pain upon his ailing wife, now a senior figure within the German Red Cross. A delicate balancing act ensued, a precarious dance between public image and private yearning. The truth, however, could not remain concealed forever. In 1942, the facade crumbled when Himmler finally confessed his affair to Margareta, a revelation precipitated by the birth of their illegitimate son, Helge. Born with physical difficulties on February 15, 1942, within the walls of the SS sanatorium in Hohenlychen. This clandestine birth shattered the illusion of domestic tranquility, exposing the fault lines that had long fractured the Himmler household. By this point, Potast had relinquished her official position in 1941 to embrace her role as Himmler's full-time lover. He established her and their son in a secluded house in Bruckentin, Mecklenburg, nestled close to the estate of SS officer Oswald Pohl, a key figure in Himmler's administration, and his wife Eleanor, with whom Potast formed a close friendship. This carefully constructed arrangement provided a semblance of normalcy amidst the swirling chaos of war. Margareta, understandably embittered and enraged by her husband's infidelity, maintained a facade of composure for the sake of their daughter. She continued to reside in the family villa, a grand estate south of Munich, surrounded by staff and a detachment of SS guards. Himmler, though absent for extended periods, visited as often as his duties allowed, drawn to his daughter, who remained devoted to him. The house became a poignant symbol of a fractured family, a stage upon which a tragic drama unfolded. By 1944, Himmler had acquired a more permanent residence for Potast and their growing family. Pregnant once again, she was the recipient of a house that Himmler purchased and had extensively renovated, in part through the labour of prisoners from the Dachau concentration camp. This house, named Schneewinkel, was formerly a holiday retreat owned by Dr. Sigmund Freud, the famous psychoanalyst. It became a haven, a stark contrast to the horrors perpetrated by Himmler's regime. Situated in the picturesque Berchtesgaden area, near Hitler's own retreat, the Berghof, Schneewinkel served as a convenient base for Himmler, allowing him to remain close to the centre of power while maintaining a semblance of family life. The proximity to both the Führer and the instruments of terror highlighted the paradoxical nature of Himmler's existence. On July 20th, 1944, amidst the turmoil of war and political intrigue, Himmler's daughter, Nanette Dorothea Potast, was born in the SS hospital in Berchtesgaden. The timing was significant. It was the very day that Count von Stauffenberg attempted to assassinate Hitler at the Wolf's Lair in East Prussia. The juxtaposition of new life and violent death underscored the precariousness of existence in the heart of the Third Reich. The details of their relationship remained shrouded in conjecture. Those who witnessed their interactions noted that the often despondent Himmler found solace and rejuvenation in Potast's company. Her influence, though officially denied, seems undeniable. She admitted to encouraging him to pursue peace negotiations with the Western Allies, a daring act of defiance against Hitler's unwavering resolve. Her intelligence and resourcefulness were undeniable, her appeal going beyond mere physical attraction. As the war drew to a close, Himmler engaged in increasingly desperate attempts to negotiate with the Allies, driven by a desire to save himself while seeking a position within the government of Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz, Hitler's successor. These desperate machinations reveal a man torn between loyalty and self-preservation, a puppet master desperately seeking to escape the consequences of his actions. The last time Potast saw Himmler in person was during the week of March 22nd, when she visited him at the SS hospital in Hohenlychen, where he was admitted with stomach cramps and nervous tension. She returned to Schneewinkel, where Himmler called her daily until April 19th, 1945. That same day, SS officer Werner Grothmann delivered a personal letter to Potast, a final message from Himmler expressing his hopes for her safety, the well-being of their children, and the future of Germany. The innocuous nature of the letter seems oddly insufficient, a mere formality compared to the depth of their shared history. The following day, Himmler travelled to Berlin to attend Hitler's 56th birthday celebration within the ruins of the Reich Chancellery, before disappearing to continue his clandestine negotiations through Count Volker Bernadotte, a Swedish diplomat. He then moved north to Schleswig-Holstein, establishing a new headquarters near Dönitz's military government. These final days were marked by desperation and deception, a frantic search for a way out of the collapsing regime. Himmler, accompanied by a small group of loyal SS officers, attempted to move south, a journey that ended abruptly at a British checkpoint on May 22, 1945. Taken into custody, he identified himself, only to die under suspicious circumstances on May 23, 1945 at the age of 44, within a special camp in Lüneburg. The circumstances surrounding his death remain shrouded in mystery, fueling speculation and conspiracy theories to this day. By this point, Hedwig Potast was already in US custody, a fact often misreported in historical accounts. The original interrogation report, dated May 22, 1945, reveals that she had been in custody for several days prior, highlighting the importance of consulting primary sources. US forces had captured Berchtesgaden on May 4, 1945, finding Schneewinkel empty. Potast had fled to Austria, then moved to Rosenheim in Bavaria, where she was apprehended. Her home had been looted, Himmler's uniforms and medals seized, and one of his cars taken, later displayed in a German auto museum. The spoils of war were being collected, the remnants of a fallen empire scattered to the winds. Potast was questioned at the 7th Army Interrogation Centre in Munich, where she was offered a deal, implying she possessed valuable information. This exchange is the crux of the mystery surrounding her post-war existence. What did she know? What did she reveal? What price did she pay for her survival and the protection of her children? The scenario that emerges suggests Potast knew of Himmler's plans to seek refuge in the Harz Mountains, collect hidden assets, and then escape south. The letter delivered by Grothmann may have contained coded instructions, a map to his escape route, or simply a final expression of affection designed to guide her actions in the event of his capture. Potast likely provided this letter, along with details of Himmler's potential whereabouts, to her interrogators. The Harz Mountains were already under US control, making the capture of Himmler a valuable bargaining chip. US intelligence, led by Alan Dulles, had been privy to Himmler's secret negotiations with the British since 1943, and Himmler's capture provided leverage over the British, who had much to lose from the exposure of their dealings with a man responsible for unspeakable atrocities. The location of the vast wealth amassed by the SS was another bargaining point, a treasure trove that could be used to further American interests. The letter Himmler carried at the time of his capture, addressed to General Dwight D. Eisenhower, suggests he sought to surrender to the Americans, perhaps as a means of protecting himself from the British. Its subsequent disappearance only deepens the mystery. It is understandable that the British may have wanted Himmler silenced, particularly if his capture threatened to expose compromising information. His death within hours of being identified remains a point of contention, fraught with inconsistencies and allegations of falsified documents. The long-standing embargo on archival material further fuels suspicion. The Americans, angered by Himmler's death in British custody, may have secured a deal with Potast that extended beyond mere information. She may have revealed the location of hidden stashes of gold and currency. In return, she was instructed to remain silent about Himmler's final weeks, while the intelligence agencies guaranteed her safety and a comfortable life for her and her children. It is a plausible scenario driven by pragmatism and the ruthless pursuit of power. Without something to trade, Potast would have been expendable. Her knowledge of Himmler's plans, his potential escape routes, and his hidden assets made her a valuable asset. For the rest of her life, Potast received regular visits from US intelligence officers who inquired about her needs and provided a contact number in case of unwanted attention. She maintained contact with Himmler's brother and senior SS officers, highlighting the enduring connections that transcended the collapse of the regime. In April 1952, she was relocated to a new address in Munich, then again in 1953, as journalists closed in. The intelligence agencies orchestrated a marriage to a terminally ill man, allowing her to assume a new identity and surname. Widowed shortly thereafter, she lived quietly with her son in a bungalow, close to the wife of SS officer Joachim Peiper. It was in the early 1980s that Potast granted her only interview, offering a glimpse into her extraordinary life. Hedvig Potast died of dementia in Bondorf on September 22, 1994, at the age of 82. Her daughter, Nanette Dorothea Potast, became a medical doctor, while her son, Helge, passed away in 2005, presumably in care. Their lives, shaped by the shadows of history, serve as a reminder of the enduring consequences of power, betrayal, and the choices made in the face of unimaginable circumstances.